Let's talk about the comic book industry, particularly IDW. Now, if you don't know who IDW is, I wouldn't be surprised. They're not DC Comics and they're not Marvel Comics, but they primarily do licensed comic books. Like, for example, Sonic the Hedgehog. They do Sonic comics. They also used to have the Transformers license. I think they still do for now, but that's coming to an end. Hasbro is was one of their biggest clients. They made G.I. Joe comics, Transformers, I think a few others. And that's their biggest one. Actually, let me take that back. Their biggest one is probably Ninja Turtles, which for the most part, I hear is a pretty decent run. I have not read it. I did read The Last Ronin, which was a tale set in the future. It's basically about the last Ninja Turtles. Actually, a really good comic. You can see here, it's the only IDW comic that makes any list. Here's the top 20 superheroes graphic novel section on ICV2. And The Last Ronin is at the top of the charts. They also have a G.I. Joe book right here. Other than that, that's it. They're losing Hasbro, so any more G.I. Joe books, that's not going to happen. Those are done for them. But the Last Ronin books, they were really good. I do actually recommend those. And you might want to pick them up before the company goes out of business. Now, I'll go into why that is in a second, but look at this post. Saw this and I was kind of shocked. Now, I've went over their stocks before, but it's even worse now. IDW is circling the toilet 30 consecutive days of a closing price below $1, and it gets delisted from the NYSE for their final act. The woke always cancels themselves, and it's very true. Now, I went and looked at the stocks, and they've come up a little bit. Here's their 5 years. In 2018, they used to be worth $45. I think their highest right here, $48.50, and then it was a slow drop down. And now, if you look at the 5-day, here they are, 120, 115, 120, 117, 103 as of Monday, November 28th. That's today. Now, they ended up coming back up a little bit, and they are now at $1.18. This is pretty significant. For the longest time, they've kind of been closer to $2. As you can see right here, January 19th, 2022, they were at $2.26, but they just keep falling. Here they are in July at $1.28. Then they came back up to $2, and they never quite hit it again. It's pretty bad. It's really bad, actually. They're in really bad shape. According to videos I watched with that Umbrella guy who did great coverage on IDW a while ago, he used to follow him quite a bit. From what I understand is the reason that they stay around is they keep doing like events where they get money from people, and that keeps them going. And I think they might have a hard time pulling that out. Losing the Hasbro license was devastating for them. I don't know what they have to replace a lot of these licensed books they have, because IDW doesn't have a lot of original properties. They really don't. They rely on Star Trek. That's their big one they're pushing now. And recently they had Spock talking about the gender binary and how you shouldn't refer to women as she, her, in case you misgender them. You want to refer to them as they, them. This was a conversation about calling ships women. It's, you know how you would call a ship her. You give a ship a woman's name, stuff like that. It's an old sea thing. I don't know a lot about it, but that was what was happening in the book. Spock arguing, saying that the gender binary is outdated and to use they, them until told otherwise. That's what's going on in Star Trek comics, so I'm sure those are going to sell. Then also with Transformers, never forget that in a book about a book about giant robots that turn into cars and guns, decided to make a shift into exploring gender and sexual identity in a comic book about giant robots that turn into cars. This is real. It's CBR.com calling it groundbreaking. Transformers 10 best LGBTQ plus characters from the comics. This is real shit that they did. Does anybody want to read about that in a Transformer comic book? No. That's why you don't read about it on any lists anymore or any charts. But this is a real thing. They're literal transformers. As you can see from here. This was what was going on, and it's still going on. They recently hired Heather Antos as the editor for their Star Trek comics. Now, this is a terrible idea because she's incredibly rude to customers, extremely rude to customers. She's also not very good as an editor, constantly has misspellings that she misses. She's probably one of the more vindictive comic book pros. There's a little bit of a whisper network in the comic book industry of all these bottom feeders who pretty much work to get people canceled. They work behind the scenes to pretty much make people do what they want. This is why comics is the best example of a bottom-up industry, because legends in the industry have to kowtow to these people because they're afraid that they'll get canceled. And these people will literally get you canceled and kicked off of comic books, kicked out of industry. This is why Movement Comicsgate exists. I've literally seen it happen to several creators. They hired her, brought her in, and this is what happens. I call this the Heather Antos effect, because they brought her in, and they went from $2 down to $1.18. Now, they had problems before they brought her in, but it's just getting worse for them. I don't know how this company stays afloat. I mean, this stock is in danger of getting delisted. Who would invest in this? I've been waiting for it, and I know it's coming. There will for sure be a bankruptcy at IDW, one of the bigger comic book publishers. It's not just Marvel and DC. You have IDW, Image Comics, Boom Studios. Boom has pretty much came in and taken all of IDW's market share. Boom actually puts out some good stuff. You had the Berserk comic from Keanu Reeves recently. They have the Power Rangers comics, which are actually quite good. But IDW, I mean, this has got to be the most pathetic I think I've seen their stock. I don't know. Probably like I said, they had a brief hit with Last Ronin. That might be why they've got this little bit of a jump here. But it's been all downhill since then. And in 2023, they lose Hasbro. Hasbro did not renew with them. This was one of their bigger lines because they were pretty much taking all of the Hasbro properties that they could. Even like whatever that pony series is, I can't remember. My Little Pony, I think it's called. They even had My Little Pony comic books. All of that is gone. They no longer have that. They lose all of those licensed characters. And a few other people have been saying, what are they going to do when they have that? It's a little too late to start trying to develop your own original characters. I think that they're screwed. This will probably be the first comic book publisher to fall. And then whether or not that creates a domino effect, I don't know. All I know is there's just no way that this company can keep operating like this. They're literally getting close to finally being the first comic book publisher to get woke, go broke. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. Also, if you would please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Check out my Rumble and my locals, and I will see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.